Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We're back for day 31. I think it's day 31 anyway. I think so. It could be day 9.8 million. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it says on my thumbnail here. It says it's day 31. So I'm going to go with that because I think that's the last thing I ever thought about today. So that's what it is. It's day 31. Um so no court tomorrow. Jury was sent home today, and we're expected back in court on Monday. So we expect that the jury will be recalled then. That's literally all the information I have on it is that we're not going in tomorrow. We expect to be back Monday. That's it. So that's right. It's been 84 years, like that lady at the Titanic that throws the necklace. That's sort of how it feels right now, I promise. But we are getting there. We are getting there. Defense has closed their case. That's done. Prosecution has closed their case last week. I suspect that'll be, well, once they close their cases, that's sort of it for the evidence. So I wouldn't suspect we'd be getting any more witnesses or anything like that now anymore, because that sort of process has finished. So what can you expect next week? I would say the step after this is normally closing statements by the prosecution and the defense. When that's going to happen, how long that's going to happen, I don't know. But I can just tell you that that's sort of the natural order of these court cases. Nothing specific to this one, just that seems to be the point we're up to, like in the natural order of a court case. So that's what I would expect sometime next week. When, again, I don't know. They haven't given us any of that kind of direction as at this point. So when I do get that direction, I'll let you know. But right now, have not received that. They're saying here, long weekend. Yes, I am very thankful that this week's sort of been a very short week. We didn't have a Monday, and we're not going to have tomorrow either. So the only days we had this week were Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's been a 3-day court, well, for this particular trial anyway. Courts are sitting tomorrow. There is no public holiday. It's just in this particular one, we're not doing it tomorrow. So we will be back on Monday for day 32 of the Erin Patterson trial. And that that we'll see what happens next week. I don't know, but next week is week 8. Week 8, day 32. So we are now a solid 2 months into this process. I can't believe it. When I first set out to go to Morwell on week 1, when I stayed up there for a week, I could never have thought that we'd get to a week 8. But here we are 2 months later, and we're still talking Erin Patterson every night. So I don't know what he's up to. Probably working. The judges, they all work hard. I think even when they're not at trial, they got legal stuff they have to do. Judge type things. What is that? I don't know. I'm not a judge. I don't know. Whatever they get up to, I have no idea. Hold on. Carolina said, like someone said, they're going for about the same time as the Karen Reed trial. Yeah, it'll be. Um, I wonder if Karen Reed may finish later or after this one. The timing is quite similar. So, but I think Karen Reed's got a few more. Did they close today? I didn't see Karen Reed. Sorry, guys, I have not been. So they're reaching their final stages too, with closing arguments set for them as well. Set for Friday. It may be. It may be that the Erin Patterson trial may actually go longer than the Karen Reed trial. It seems like that'll probably be almost a certainty. I almost guarantee it because they're going to do closing statements on Friday. That may run until Monday in the US. I don't know how long they need for each side, the prosecution and the defense. That may be Friday, Monday, and Tuesday and Wednesday. Could be just Friday. I don't know. But they're going to go into verdict a lot quicker than we are. Um, I suspect we'll have a full week next week of court time. So I don't know. Like I said, it's not from fact or have been told anything. It's just from my judging of how things have gone so far that it seems to be things have just taken some time. So I would think probably next week we're going to have a full week of different things and lots to report to you. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. A dingo trial. Dingo trial. Did we just put a dingo on trial? Did they kill a child on Kagari Island or whatever it's called? Is that what happened? Did we arrest a dingo? I mean, I suspect that might be a real thing. We've arrested animals before. We'll see what happens. Um, oh, Azaria Chamberlain? What? Azaria Chamberlain trial surgery. Oh, in the 80s. In the 80s. Yeah, that was a pretty long trial. That one went for a couple of months too. Yeah, it's not abnormal. The way I would explain it is that these complex trials where you have a lot of witnesses and often the ones the media gravitate towards tend to be the ones that take a long period of time because there's a lot of details, there's a lot of witnesses, there's a lot of evidence to get through. But I can tell you that when we get to the end of tonight, that's it. That's it for the evidence. This will be the final bit that we hear most likely from Erin Patterson. So that's her done. She's given her evidence over the last 8-9 days. I can't remember how many it has been since last week, and that'll be it. That'll be it. Now we move into the final stages of the trial, and that's just where it's like, how long will that take? And we just don't know. So we'll find out when we do. When I do know, I will tell you. Uh, what? Yeah, hold on, guys. Mike, I love you, buddy, but yeah, there we go. There you go. There you go, Potter. All sorted. I think so. Anyway, let me scroll back. Yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. So one of the things that we were warned about is, uh, comments on certain things, people, jurors, Erin, lawyers, their appearance or facial expressions or something. You're just not supposed to do that. It's one of the things they ask you not to do. I think because people are working, lawyers are working and barristers are working and court clerks are at their job, stuff like that. So they just really don't want us commenting on that type of thing. But I promise you, now that we're at this stage of the trial, it's not that far away till Ping can actually tell you what he wants to say. And I've had to sit here for 2 months and just keep my trap shut. So I am looking forward to the day where I am no longer legally binded in keeping my opinion to myself. But it's a little bit off. Still got another week or two, but we're getting close. We're getting closer to when Ping can talk more freely about the Erin Patterson trial, which I am looking forward to not being so hamstrung all the time. Heather says, "Hi Ping, hope all is going well with Mrs. Ping." So I spoke to her just before we came on the air. Actually, she actually answered a phone call, which is, I don't know, the last time I spoke to her on a phone call because she's not been able to do that. So that's a positive sign. I think she is very sick of being in hospital. I think she's sick of being sick and sick of being in a hospital. I think she's just a bit over it. I think she's like, when does this ever end? So, um, no real challenges, no real challenges right now. Um, I think it's more like just trying to get her healthy. I think that's sort of where we're at. It's sort of waiting to. It's just time, time to heal, time to get nutrition and things like that. That'll all take weeks and months. So we've got a bit of a a bit of a road ahead of us with that one, but we'll get there too. We'll get there. I'm just happy that she's out of that 72-hour danger period. Thank the Lord. Thank you for all the prayers, everyone. I reckon it helped. I reckon it helped. Um, release your inner ping. We will in 2 weeks or more. In 2 weeks or more. 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know, but we're getting there. By the way, I did open up that second channel. So we spoke about it last night that Ping was going to open up a second channel. I have done that. I haven't done a live show on it as of yet, but it is set up for when we want to do that. So when we want to do more off-topic type content, here it is. YouTube, Ping Unfiltered. This will be where we sort of do like we're gonna try keep the true crime for here, and sort of the random talk and random things over here at this channel. So this will be like the off topic, not true crime, or there might be true crime, but more off topic lifestyle, slice of life, that type of thing, type of content. All right. Potter says, I know lots of people are not well, and I'm sorry to be perpetually whinging. That's all right. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Yeah, I hope it'll be worth it in the long run too. Okay. Your sub number 3, thank you. I appreciate it. The fact that we only got this channel to 1500 like during the trial might be a slow grind getting the other channel that is not breaking news to people to a high number, but we'll see. We'll see. Might be just fun for the people to hang out at. All right. It is not going to be a long show tonight because I don't have very much to give you. I have maybe, I don't know, not a lot. I'm just having a look through my notes. How far can we get? All right, we've got a little bit we can do. We've got a little bit. All right. So I want to talk to you about some of the questions that were asked of Erin today. And I just want to double check who. So this is the prosecution, and this is what they call re-examination. I'm pretty sure. Is it cross-examination? Re-examination? No, that would be the defense. This is cross-examination. For a second, I thought it was re-examination. So you get examination, then it's the cross-examination from the other side of the bar. Then you get re-examination from the original party based on what the second party put forward in questioning. So that can happen. This don't think that's what this is, but Ping can always be wrong. I think it's just a cross exam. All right, here we go. So one of the questions they talked about today was they asked her about foraging, right? So foraging's been a word in this trial, and they want to ask her some more questions about foraging. And one of the things they ask her is here. They say, I asked you some questions yesterday about foraging. I just want to go back to that. They say Sally Ann Atkinson gave evidence about a conversation she had with Simon Patterson on the evening of the 31st of July, 2023. She asked him whether you could have picked mushrooms yourself. And Simon told her, And they quote, "It was not something he had ever known you to do." And Erin says, "Yes, he did say that." And I mean, she said that under a quote of what Simon told her. And they say, "Do you remember Sally Ann Atkinson giving that evidence?" And Erin says, "I do." Actually, I got to take these off. They say, um, "Do you remember Sally giving that evidence?" Yes. "I suggest to you that in all the years that Simon had known you, he never knew you to pick mushrooms." And they say here, it sounds, Erin replies, "It sounds like that's his opinion. Yeah." And they ask her again, "It sounds like," and she repeats it, "That is his opinion." And they ask Erin, "Are you saying that he's wrong?" Erin says, "No, I can't speak to what Simon knew and didn't know." Well, she says what he knew and didn't knew. Didn't knew? That's not a real phrase, Ping. "No, I can't speak to what he knew and didn't know. That's not something I can comment on." They say here, yesterday in your cross exam, you said this must be re exam. No, it can't be. Yesterday in cross exam. Okay, it's just a continuation of cross exam. They said, you said in your cross examination yesterday, you put dried mushrooms from the Asian grocer in the dehydrator. Do you remember that evidence? And Erin says, I do. You never said that to Sally Ann Atkinson or any other people you spoke to in August of 2023, did you? Erin says, that'd be true. So she says, that's true. You did not say anything during your evidence when your representative, Colin Mandy, was asking you questions about the dried mushrooms from the Asian grocer. Erin says, I don't think he asked many questions along those lines. And she says here, I suggest this is another lie that you have made up on the spot. Erin says, incorrect. Nanette Rogers says, I suggest that you're hedging your bets, trying to make it sound like there are multiple possible sources for the death cap mushrooms. Erin says, incorrect. And then Nanette Rogers says, I want to ask you a couple of questions about herbal tea. And she says, you told the jury on Sunday morning, 30th of July, and the quote is, I think I made some kind of herbal tea like lemon and ginger tea. They asked, do you remember giving that evidence to the jury? And Erin says, I do. And they say here, I think we covered this to some extent, but your son in his evidence said that you were drinking coffee at the coffee table on Sunday morning. And Erin said, at the dining table. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. My cats are jerks, apparently, every time I get on here. All right. Then they say here, you told the jury Sunday morning, 30th of July, I think I made some kind of herbal tea like lemon and ginger tea. They ask if you remember this evidence. Erin says, I do. And they say here that your son gave evidence that you were drinking coffee at the coffee table on Sunday morning. Erin said, at the dining table, yes. And they say, I take it that you say your son is mistaken about that. She says, I believe he just made an assumption because on 99% of the days of his life, he's probably got up and seen me drinking a coffee. So he sees me there with a coffee cup and thinks I'm drinking a coffee. Nanette Rogers says, I suggest you wouldn't be drinking coffee if you were experiencing serious diarrhea issues. Erin says, I would agree with that. You told the jury that you were drinking herbal tea to explain away your son's evidence about the coffee. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. Nanette Rogers says, I suggest you lied about drinking the herbal tea or having the herbal tea on Sunday morning. Agree or disagree? Erin says, I disagree. They want to talk about a different topic here, and it's about a medication. We all probably know what this medication is. It is called Imodium. So you guys all know what that is. It is to stop diarrhea, and we've heard a lot about diarrhea in this particular trial. I probably said that word many more times than I've ever wanted to on my YouTube channel. I probably said a lot of words during this trial that I never thought I would ever say on this channel, but now I have, including the word diarrhea. That and Amanita phalloides about 9,000 times. Stop, you guys. We're almost there. Just stop. We're almost at the end. They're saying here, yes, they want to talk about Imodium. And they say that Erin gave evidence to the jury that in the early hours of July 30, and then before the trip to Tayab on the Sunday 30th of July, that she took this Imodium. And Erin says that she agrees that she did say that. They say, do you remember these two pieces of evidence? Erin says, I do. Nanette Rogers says, when you arrived at the Leongatha Urgent Care Center the second time on the 31st of July at 9:48 a.m., you completed an initial assessment with the nurse, and her name is Nurse Sespin. And they ask if that's correct. Erin says, yeah, it is. They say, she took a medical history from you. Erin says, yeah, she would have. Nanette Rogers asks her, well, you told her, amongst other things, that you're allergic to penicillin. And Erin says, that's correct. But you did not tell her that you had previously taken Imodium for this illness. Erin said, that's probably true. I don't think she asked. Hold on, guys. All right. Sorry, my cats are playing up even though they've been fed. They're being jerks. My big fluffy cat's being very annoying. They say here, in all your medical records for the 31st and the 1st of August, 31st of July and the 1st of August, there is no notation of you having taken Imodium at any stage, including on the 30th of July. Erin says, I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't looked through all the records, but I don't remember anyone asking me if I took any medication on the Sunday. They say, okay, I suggest you didn't tell any of the medical staff that on the 31st of July that you had taken Imodium. Erin says, I don't know if I did or I didn't. And they say, you didn't tell any medical staff on the 1st of July that you took Imodium. Erin says again, I don't know if I did or I didn't. They say, you said one of the reasons you went to the hospital was in the hope that they might have something stronger than Imodium that would stop what is going on, aka the diarrhea. And Erin says, yes, that is correct. The prosecution says, I suggest that if you were looking for something stronger than Imodium, you would have told the medical staff that you'd already taken Imodium and it didn't work. Agree or disagree? Erin says, I don't think we had any conversations about Imodium at all. Yeah, there we go. And they say here, I suggest that if you were looking for something stronger than Imodium, you would have told the staff that you'd already taken Imodium and it didn't work. They ask her it a second time. Erin says, well, I don't agree because I didn't. I don't remember doing that. The prosecution says, I suggest you did not tell any medical staff you had taken Imodium because you did not in fact take Imodium. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. They say here, I suggest this is another lie to try and explain how you managed the trip to Tayab. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. They say you have given evidence before this jury that you had to pull over on the side of the road on the way to Tayab on the 30th of July to go to the toilet or experiencing diarrhea. Do you remember that evidence? Erin says, I do. And they ask here, do you remember your son's evidence about the trip to Tayab? She says, I do. And they say here, they ask her about this answer that her son gave, and the answer was she seemed okay before. She seemed okay, but she was just hoping we could make it to Tayab before she needed to go to the toilet again because she had diarrhea. And they say here, do you agree that he makes no mention of you stopping to have diarrhea in the bushes on the side of the road? Erin says, I do agree with that. They say, I suggest that he did not give that evidence about you stopping in the bushes on the side of the road. And they say, because it did not happen. Do you agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. The prosecution says, I suggest this is another lie that you've told this jury to try and explain how you managed the trip to Tayab. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. And they say here, now we want to move to the Sunday night dinner. You told the jury that you prepared leftovers for your son and daughter for Sunday's dinner, but only cereal for yourself. Erin says, correct. Your evidence was that you prepared the meal, the Sunday night meal, removed the pastry and the mushrooms off the meat, put the meat on 2 plates, put the leftover potato and beans on 2 plates as well, microwave them, and they were the plates for the children. Erin says, correct. They say when your daughter gave evidence, and the evidence that the daughter gave was, so at dinner time, they ask her, so at dinner time, did mum have dinner with you guys? And she replies, yep, this is the daughter. And what did she eat? The daughter replied, she ate the same as us. And they ask her, what was that? They ask her, so was that meat and mashed potatoes and beans? The daughter replies, yeah. And they say, did you eat all of your dinner? And the daughter replies, I think so, yeah. And they say, and what about your brother? Yes, he did, she says. And what about mum? The daughter replies, she wasn't very hungry, so she didn't eat much, so my brother ate the rest of hers. They ask, do you recall your daughter giving that evidence? She says, I do. They say, do you say that your own daughter is wrong about what you prepared yourself for dinner on the Sunday night? Erin says she is. They say they want to go to another part of that evidence, and the evidence was, given that mum had been unwell, did she eat dinner that night? And she replies, she made dinner for herself but did not eat any of it. I had her leftover potato and beans. So there you go. So this is the son's answer about that dinner, and I'll read it again. Given that mum had been unwell, did she eat dinner that night? And the son's answer was she made dinner for herself but did not eat any of it. I had her leftover potato and beans. They say, do you recall your son giving that evidence? And Erin says, I do. Do you say that your son is incorrect about what you prepared yourself for dinner on Sunday night? And she says, yes, he is. And they say, in another topic, in the conversation with Simon on the 1st of August at the hospital, Erin says she remembers. They said, yeah. In the evidence, you told the jury that when you were at Monash Hospital with Simon and the children, you had a conversation about dehydrating mushrooms and hiding them in muffins. Erin says yes. And then they said, in your evidence, you said after the conversation, Simon then said to the words of the effect, is that how you poisoned my parents? And they say, correct. Erin says, correct. That was your evidence? Erin says, correct. And they say, then you heard that it was put to Simon in cross examination when he gave his evidence. Erin says, I did. And he denied ever saying such a thing. Erin says, he did. I suggest that Simon never accused you of using the dehydrator to poison his parents. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. I suggest that this is another lie told by you to try and explain why. Just the very next day, you went out to the Kunwara transfer station to dispose of the dehydrator. Agree or disagree? They say Erin says disagree. And they say here, I want to take you to a different topic, and it's the topic of phones and devices. I'm going to show you a still, a screenshot taken. I'm going to take you to a still taken from the CCTV footage taken at Leongatha Hospital on the 31st of July, 2023. And they say, you've seen this photo before. She says she has. And they said, I may have asked you this before previously, but that phone you can see in the pink case is yours, correct? Erin says it was. And they say that's what that phone is phone A. What has been called phone A in this trial? Erin says it would have been yes. And that is the one with a number ending in redacted, which was your phone number. Erin says it was. And they say it was your phone number for some years before the events of July 2023. Erin says correct. You continued to use that phone number right up until the 14th of August 2023 and beyond. And Erin says, sorry, they ask her through 14th of August 2023, and Erin says, and beyond, yes. And they say this phone A, is a phone that you use since February 23, correct? Erin says, Erin says she, hold on, guys. Yeah. Is this a phone you used as primary communication device from February 23? Erin says that's correct. And you used it to send, receive text, phone calls, and take photos. Erin says correct, amongst many other things. Yes. The prosecution says, I suggest that you use this phone to research death cap mushrooms. Agree or disagree? Erin says disagree. The prosecution says, I also suggest to you you used phone A to look up iNaturalist in 2023. Agree or disagree? Erin says disagree. They say, I may have already put this to you previously, but I want to make it clear that I suggest to you you saw the post by Tom May on the 21st of May 2023 on this phone. Erin says disagree. And they say on phone A. And Erin says disagree. And they say that's how you saw the post by Christine McKenzie that she'd posted on the 18th of April 2023. Erin said, I didn't see that post. They say, you didn't use that phone to do that? Erin says, I didn't see that post. And they say, phone A was not recovered by police on the 5th of August. Agreed? Erin says, agreed. They say, I suggest it's because you deliberately concealed this phone from police. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. Hey, Zen. Thank you, my friend. Um, they say your evidence to this jury was on the 2nd of August 2023. You This was her evidence on about it. You realized that phone A was not not cutting it anymore. Do you remember giving that evidence? Erin says, I do. They ask her, so is your explanation about why you factory reset phone B on that day? And Erin says, I think that was the explanation. And just on that, I remember you asking me, did I do that factory reset on 2nd of August at that time? And I said, The date looks about right. I'm not sure about the time, and I'm not sure about the date is even right because I remember doing the factory reset. I thought I did it on the same day I put the SIM card in, which was the 3rd of August. The prosecution says, in any event, you agreed that it was on the 2nd of August that you realized phone A wasn't cutting it anymore. Erin says, yeah, or the 3rd of August. I'm not sure which day. They say, I suggest to you there was nothing wrong with phone A, and this is another lie. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. And they say, you had purchased this phone brand new in February 2023, correct? Erin says, correct. And it was less than 6 months old, correct? Erin says, that is correct. They say, so you used phone A on the 2nd of August with a phone number that ends in redacted all day. And they say this shows that your use of the phone continued to be frequent up until about 11 p.m. the night of August the 2nd. Erin says, yeah, there was use of the phone, yeah. And they ask her, this is the day, or this is a possible day on your evidence that you realized phone A was not cutting it anymore. And they said, you just said a minute ago it was either August the 2nd or August the 3rd. Erin says, right. Let's see. They say here, the records show a frequent use of phone A throughout the day of the 3rd of August. Do you accept that? Erin says, it definitely shows use. Yeah. And then they say, we want to show you the records for the 4th of August. And they say here, we can see that you continued to use phone A with phone number redacted. Erin says, I did. For data, phone calls, and SMS, Erin says, yeah. And they say, and you accept that the records show frequent use of phone A throughout the day? Erin says, it does show use, yes. Now they say, I want to take you to the 5th of August. 5th of August was the day of the search warrant. Erin says it was. They say, we heard evidence that police arrived at your house at 11:40 a.m. Erin says that's correct. And they say, up until 11:40 a.m., you were still using phone A. Um, Erin says, I can't see any actual like SMSs or phone calls by me, but yes, some people did send me some SMSs. And they say, what about the data? Erin says, well, that doesn't mean I'm doing anything on the phone. Dr. Sorrell did say that. And they ask her, like, what do you mean? And they phrase it like this, beg your pardon. And she says, I said just because there's data entries doesn't mean I'm using the phone. And they said, did you refer to someone's evidence? And Erin says, yeah. I said, didn't Dr. Sorrell say that? The prosecution say, but I'm not asking you about Dr. Sorrell's evidence. I'm asking you about, did you use any data on the 5th of August until 11:40 a.m.? Erin says, I have no idea. I doubt it. And they say here, suddenly at an unknown time between 12:01 p.m. on the 5th of August and 1:45 p.m., your mobile service ending in redacted, which was inside phone A, lost connection with the network. And they said that's been the evidence in this matter. Do you agree with that? Erin says, I do. And they say this lost connection could be due to A, the SIM card being removed from the handset, B, the battery being removed without turning off the handset, or C, the handset being damaged in such a way that would disrupt the power of the handset or disrupt the handset's connection to the network. Erin says yes. They say, so that's agreed. That's an agreed fact between the parties. Erin says yes. The prosecution says, I suggest that you remove the SIM from phone A between 12:01 and 1:45 p.m. on the 5th of August. Agree or disagree? Erin says disagree. The prosecution says, I suggest that you had physical possession of this phone when you did that. Agree or disagree? Erin says disagree. The prosecution says, I suggest you remove the SIM from phone A when you were afforded privacy to speak with a lawyer while police were at your home. Agree or disagree? And they say, Erin says, disagree. That happened at 2 p.m. The prosecution says, I suggest your claim that the black item on the windowsill in the lounge is phone A is simply nonsense. Erin says, disagree. Yeah, sorry, guys. All right. All right, we have to take a break for 2 seconds and then I'll get back into it. 1 sec. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. We got more to talk about. We got more phone A, phone B evidence. More mobile evidence. All right. So the last thing we heard about was the claim that that black item on the windowsill in the lounge is phone A is simply nonsense. And Erin said she disagreed. And they say, we want to take you to a piece of evidence. It is a still of a video of the search warrant when police were in your house on the 5th of August. Erin says it is. And they say you recognize Detective Sergeant Luke Farrell. He's on the right side of the dining table. Erin says he is. And he gave evidence, and you're on the left. Erin says I am. The prosecution says this is the phone that you supplied to police on the 5th of August 2023, correct? Erin says that is correct. They say to her, it has been referred to in this trial as phone B. You heard it referred to that. Erin says, I have. It was blank when you handed it to police. Agree? Erin says, I don't know what you mean by blank. There's always things on a phone. You told police that this phone number ended in 8 redacted, and Erin says, I did. That was the phone number of phone B. Erin says it was. I suggest that was a lie to the extent that that was not your usual phone number. Agree or disagree? Erin says, I wasn't asked if it was my usual phone number. They said your usual phone number was the one ending in 7 redacted, correct? Erin says it wasn't until that day, yeah, or the day before when I was changing all my numbers. The prosecution says after you factory reset this phone on the 2nd of August, and I suggest that it was the 2nd of August, you only used it to make 3 phone calls. Erin says, I don't know how many there were. They say those 3 phone calls all occurred around 2 p.m. on the 5th of August when you were given privacy to contact a lawyer. Erin says, yep. You were happy to provide police with this phone, phone B. Erin says, yeah. Happy to tell them that this phone number was your phone number ending in 8 redacted. Erin says, correct. I suggest you did that because you knew there was no data on this phone, correct or incorrect. Erin says, no, I did it because they asked for my phone and I gave it to them. There you go. Let me go down here. All right. So they ask her about Katrina Cripps. So if you remember the evidence that Katrina gave, they were asking here. that you told Katrina Cripps on Friday, the 4th of August, that you were planning on changing your phone number. That was her evidence. Erin says it was. Do you agree that you told Miss Cripps that you were planning on changing your phone number on the 4th of August? Erin says, I think I was a bit more definite than that. I think I said I'm changing my number. This conversation with Miss Cripps took place during a phone call. Erin says, yeah, it was a phone call. That phone call was at 5:11 p.m. on the 4th of August. Erin says it was. The phone call was made by you. Erin says it was. And they said that phone call was made using the phone with the number ending in 7 redacted. Erin says that's correct. And you were using phone A at the time, correct? Erin says, yeah. So when you spoke to Miss Cripps on the 4th of August, you had not changed your phone number, correct or incorrect? Erin says, I was in the process of it. I was setting up all my accounts with the new number. They say, now I want to take you to factory resets. You don't dispute, do you, that the Celebrite extraction was done by police on phone B? Erin says that's correct. They say, in the evidence, the records show that the factory reset of phone B was done on the 2nd of August 23 at 11:09 a.m. Erin says, yeah, it does say that. The prosecution says, I want to suggest that that was done by you. Erin says, I don't know what time and day I did it, but I did do one around then. They ask on the 2nd of August. Erin says, around then, yes. They say, and the 2nd of August was the day after you were discharged with your children from Monash. Erin says, correct. There was a second factory reset done on the phone. Yeah, so they ask about this other factory reset done on the phone on the 5th. And they say the factory reset done on the 5th of August was done according to the records at 1:20 p.m. Erin says, yeah, it does say that, although we don't know what UTC it is. So UTC time, which is universal time, whatever it is, UTC time. That factory reset on the 5th of August was done by you. Erin says, yeah, it was. And I suggest that you did this while police were at your house on the same day they arrived with the search warrant at 11:40 a.m. Agree or disagree? Erin says, agree. I suggest that you did this when you were given privacy in the lounge room to make arrangements to communicate with a solicitor. Erin says, no, because that happened at 2 p.m. So they're saying, yeah. They're saying that there was a final factory reset done on the 6th of August 2023. Erin says, yep. At 5:16, Erin says, yep. That factory reset was done by you. Erin says, correct. And you did this remotely? Correct. Because you did not have the physical phone in your hands when that occurred, did you? Erin says that's correct. I suggest you did 3 factory resets of this phone B, after the lunch on the 29th of July 2023. Erin says agreed. I suggest that you did that to conceal the true contents of phone B. Agree or disagree? Erin says disagree. I suggest that you did this so you could then pass off phone B as your usual mobile phone without police realizing. Agree or disagree? Erin says disagree. They show a photo to the jury. It's a flow chart of phones and SIM cards, and they're going to ask us some questions about it. So that's the way I'm going to describe it to you. They say, I suggest you change your phone numerous times over the years. And Erin says, I did. They say, I suggest in August 2023, they say, I suggest in August 23 were completely different to these other phone changes. Agree or disagree? Erin says, circumstances are always going to be different. I don't really understand what you're asking me. And they say, well, for example, you gave evidence about your son going away. She says, yes. And they say that was a reason why he took one of the phones. Erin says it wasn't because he went away, it was because he had damaged a phone. And the prosecution said, I'm just using it as an example. Erin says, yeah, but the reason why he changed phones was because it was damaged. They say, your explanation to this jury is that phone A was in effect on the blink. Is that your evidence? Erin says, correct. Well, she says, I can't say correct because I don't know what you mean by on the blink. But they say, in her words, not cutting it. And Erin says there was damage to the screen, making it non-responsive at times. And Erin says, yes, that is what happened. The prosecution says, I suggest that the circumstances are different because police were executing a search warrant on the 5th of August, seeking electronic devices. Agree or disagree? Erin says, yeah, so the circumstances of the reset 3 and 4 are different, but 1 and 2 are the same. The prosecution says, I suggest to you that all of this conduct, the factory resetting of phone B, the handing it to police and telling them your phone number ended in 8 redacted, this was all about hiding contents of your usual mobile phone, phone A. Erin says, incorrect. The prosecution says, I suggest you deliberately concealed phone A from police. Erin says, disagree. They say here, and you did so because you knew that the data on that device would incriminate you. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. I suggest that you deliberately sourced death cap mushrooms in 2023. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. I suggest you deliberately included them in the beef Wellingtons you served to Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, Ian Wilkinson, and Heather Wilkinson. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. And you did so intending to kill them. Agree or disagree? Erin says, disagree. I think we're just about done, but I've got a couple more questions from the re-exam. So this was the end of the prosecution's examination of Erin Patterson. Those 3 questions were your final. They were the prosecution's final questions to Erin Patterson after many moments and hours on the stand. That was your final 3 questions, and you heard them. They are verbatim. There is no editing of that. They were exactly what was said. All right, what is it? Yeah, I know UTC time. Yeah. I know what it is. I work with computers. I know what the function of it is. I know. Yeah, that's what. Didn't I say universal time? I'm pretty sure I did. So I know what it is. I work with computers for the last 20 years, and most of them run on UTC. So I know. Maybe I didn't explain it right, but I know. I'm. Let's just get to the facts. Give me 2 minutes. I have to switch over to my other notes for the re-exam. Hold on. I appreciate everyone who's been able. I'll say this after 31 podcasts each night of the Erin Patterson trial. I'll say that the majority of the people who tune in each night and participate in the chat have been very, very respectful of the laws in Victoria and wider Australia as a whole, but definitely in Victoria where I live, and have definitely tried to keep Ping out of trouble. and I appreciate it. It's not always been smooth sailing. We've had some ups and downs throughout the trial, but I'm very thankful to everyone who's been able to understand the legalities behind why I have to do certain things, and because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to bring you this information every night. We would just be reading from the Guardian or the ABC and only getting what they have to say. This is what I have to say after I watch the trial. So a little bit different, but I appreciate all those people. Why? I just want to get angry about something. Is that all right? I like to get angry. All right. I just want to get angry about things. It's my favorite pastime. All right, hold on. All right, let me get you down. All right. So they talked about the other day. Do you remember we talked about the Enrich Clinic? Do you guys remember that? And I showed you a screenshot. Here, I'm going to bring it up if I've got it. Here. No, that's not it. Where's my screenshot? Give me a sec. I have a screenshot of this particular website. Where is it? I do have one, don't I? Okay. Maybe I took it on my phone. Hold on. Which is probably true being that I was in court every day. Hold on. Let me go down here. There it is. All right. So you remember I showed you this photo about the Enrich Clinic. The next piece of re-examination you're going to hear is about this evidence. So we heard about that the other day. This is Colomandi's re-examination of this evidence. So the things you're about to hear are from the defense's side. Okay. Potter says, "Have you studied stenography, Ping?" I don't study anything. I just do what I do. I don't know what that is. What is that? It sounds like I don't know what that is. That what court typists do? That's not me. That's not me. I've not studied that. Potter says you could be an official court reporter. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think anyone wants me in a courtroom trying to take notes of anything. Yeah, I don't think they want that. You should see my unedited notes before I get home and edit them for 2 hours. They are just paragraphs of crap that I have to go back and fix and space out. And no, I think a court wants their documents like right now. Like they're like, wait, we have to recall this and have a look at this, and we want to go back 10 minutes. They don't want ping. They'd be like, we have to go back 10 minutes, and then they'd go back and they'd be like, this is gibberish. Who is this guy? Why did we hire him? Well, this guy has to go. So that's what would happen. Um, Jay said, "Are you doing the solo?" Yeah, it's just me. There is no one else. Like I have people who help. I have some people who help with the graphics, and I have people who help in the chat. I have a couple other people that help with emails and things like that. But the actual court stuff is just me. The content you get on this channel, the majority, 99% of it is mostly just me. So yeah, I'm a one-man show. That's it. I don't have a team of people. I do, like, I have people who help here and there with different things that I can't do, but the majority of it is just one guy, me. That's it. Um, Zen said, "You want to get their skin tightening procedure." Okay. Yes, Potter. We're about to get to that. We're about to get to that. Okay. They say here, you gave sworn evidence to this jury last Friday that you had a pre-surgery appointment for gastric bypass surgery booked for early September with the Enrich Clinic in Melbourne. That was a lie. Agree or disagree? Erin says, no, it wasn't a lie. That's what my memory was. And they say, And you gave those answers to those questions? Erin says, I did. And they were true? Erin says, yes. They say, now, yesterday, I think you agreed, having read a statement dated last Friday. They said, which was from an office manager at the Enrich Clinic. Erin says, yes. It says the Enrich Clinic does not offer and has never offered gastric bypass surgery. Erin says, yes. They say, you accept that. Erin says, I do. Yes. The Enrich Clinic does not and has never offered pre-surgery assessments related to gastric bypass surgery. Erin says, yep. And they say, do you accept that? Erin says, yeah. And they read out a statement and it says, the Enrich Clinic only conducts examination related to skin and its appendages such as hair and nails. And they say, you agreed with that statement and what it said. Erin says, yes. They said, you didn't dispute that. And they say, you didn't dispute that that was the position. Yeah. So you didn't dispute that that was the position as of now. Erin says, right. Yep. They say, can I just confirm with you your interactions with the Enrich Clinic? And they said, I'll just ask that the jury has shown some evidence, and it was just a record. And they say here, they say, now, what did you know when you made those phone calls or contacted the clinic on the days about the services that the Enrich Clinic offered? Erin says, I was of the understanding that they offered treatments concerning weight loss, and I believe that to be surgeries like gastric bypass, among other things like liposuction and anywhere in between. And they say here, the record you saw yesterday confirmed that you had an appointment with Enrich on the 13th of September 2023. Erin says, yes. They say, you described that in your evidence as a pre-surgery appointment. They ask, what do you mean by that? Erin says, so what I mean was, I hadn't actually had an in-person consultation with Enrich yet. That was going to be my first one. My understanding was we would discuss my needs, what treatments they could offer, and what would best suit me and my schedule. Sorry, guys. They say, did you ever have a consultation with them? Erin says, I never end up having one. I canceled it. Sorry, I don't want to cough into the mic. And they say, she never ended up having one. She says, no, I canceled it. And they say that they have a record of an SMS from the Enrich Clinic. And they say, you indicated you canceled that appointment on the 13th of September. Erin says, I did. They say they want to tender an SMS record, so that's evidence. They say, this record indicates on the 11th of September 2023, Enrich was texting you to confirm the appointment on the 13th, correct? Erin says, yes, correct. And it says, the SMS says, Enrich at 872 High Street, Armadale. Erin says, yep. And they say, that was your understanding of the address of the clinic. Erin says, correct. They ask her, did you reply to that text? Erin says, I think I rang them, but I'm not sure. I may have replied by SMS, but I did respond. In any event, you canceled that appointment. Erin says, I did. So you never attended the consultation. She says, correct. And they're saying here that they want to show some evidence, which is a screenshot from the Enrich Clinic website on the 11th of June, 2025. And in that screenshot, it was found recently. They say at the top it says, Enrich Clinic has moved to South Yarra as of January 2025. Erin says, yep. And then they say further down in this screenshot, it says liposuction with Dr. Michael Rich. And it says this is of the 30th of the 6th, 2024. Dr. Rich will no longer be offering liposuction as a treatment option to our patients. Erin says, I see that. They ask her, what was your understanding about what was being offered by Enrich Clinic as of July 2023? Erin says, well, I understood them to be offering liposuction. I also believe that they offered the full range of weight loss surgery treatments like bypass and the sleeve. I think they're two different types of things, but yeah. They ask her, "Why did you cancel that appointment?" She says, "It was a difficult time, a very difficult time." They say, "Do you accept now from this material that you were mistaken about the fact that the Enrich Clinic offered gastric bypass surgery?" Erin says, "I was obviously mistaken." Uh, yeah. All right. Two more questions and we're done. So they say here, where is it? So they ask her here about picking wild mushrooms. They ask her, "How often had you been picking wild mushroom in those months?" And the months they're talking about is the autumn of the autumn of 22, March to April, April to May. And they said, "How often are you picking wild mushrooms in those months?" Erin says, "At most a handful of times, maybe not even that much." Sorry, my cat keeps clawing at something, and I'm like, "Go away." They're saying here, yeah, otherwise, how often do you find that you're very remiss? Yeah, in almost 4,000 pages of signal messages, how often did you inform Simon about what you were preparing for your own meals? Erin said, "Almost never." And they asked, "Why was that?" She says, "I don't think we ever talked about what we were eating, to be honest. It just wasn't relevant or interesting for either of us." And they say here, so they ask her about the 6 beef Wellingtons. And again, this is all re examination from Colin Mandy, SC. They said, "Do you recall being asked those questions?" Erin says, "Yes." They say, they said there are several items recorded as beef eye fillets. So they're showing these Woolworths receipts again. She says, "Yes." And they ask her, "What did each of those items compromise?" Erin replies, "They are twin packets of eye fillet steaks." And they say, "The records indicate you purchased 5 of them." Erin says, "I did." And they say, "So, in the context of that record, why did you prepare 6 beef Wellingtons?" And she says, "So, I had 5 twin packs. I put 2 of the twin packs in the freezer and just decided to use the other 6. I had enough ingredients to make an extra one. I thought I might eat it another day, so I did that." And that's your re examination. That's your re examination of Erin Patterson. And that was the last of the prosecution's cross examination of Erin Patterson. That is now complete. It is done. It is in the books. And Erin is now no longer in that witness stand. So we have completed that. Hey, I anarchist. Nice to meet you, by the way. Unfortunately, I can't answer your question. Um, all I can tell you is this: it's up to the client and the defense on who they call, or who that might be. If that's his own client, then that's their choice, and it's their decision to make. It is protected by client attorney privilege, or like client lawyer, client barrister, whatever you want to call it, legal representation. And it's a discussion for them in instruction. So I don't have any insight into that process for you, unfortunately. It's not something I know about. So I'm sorry I can't answer that. I actually don't know. So all I can tell you is that it happened. I've reported all the facts to you, and it's up to you to do whatever. Uh, No, Armadale, as in Melbourne, Armadale. So there is a suburb in the inner city, not too far from South Yarra, actually, which is it's spelled differently. It's spelled uh, Armadale, Armadale. It's got an extra A in it, as where the one in New South Wales has an I in it. So hold on, Armadale. It's not too far from Ping, actually. I won't tell you where I live, but I'll just say it's not too far. I actually go past there quite frequently. Armadale. So Armadale is down here. I don't want to zoom this out too much, but this red box here, where you can see, this is Armadale, and it's not too far from Malvern. It's not too far from Toorak. It's not too far from a bunch of other different suburbs in Melbourne. I don't want to zoom out too far because I actually live in this area. So I don't want to um, show you the wrong things, if that makes sense. But that's the area. So have to be a little careful because I actually live in that area. All right. Hold on, guys. That last statement, yeah, I can read it for you. Hold on. Let's see if I have it. I might have it. Okay, I do have it. They said here, so they're talking about the flying lesson that her son had in Tyab, right? And they ask here, that actually that's no. They say here, you are asked about questions about whether or not you're very familiar with the Glen Waverley area. Erin says yes. And you responded by saying that was incorrect. Erin says yes. And they ask, why did you respond that way? Erin says, well, I prefaced it that way because my familiarity with Glen Waverley comes from working there up until 2006, and ever since then, occasionally shopping in Kingsway. So I didn't consider that to be consistent with very familiar in 2025, but I may have been being pedantic. I do that. And that is your final statement and evidence from Erin Patterson in cross examination. So yes, Potter was right. I missed one little bit that was on another page, but that's it. That was the very final thing she said as a person giving evidence in this trial, her own trial. And after 8 days on the stand, examined by the defense, cross-examined by the prosecution, and then re-examination. No, examined by the defense, cross-examined by the prosecution, and then re-examination from the defense. So hold on, guys. I don't what? I don't know what that means. You're gonna have to spell it in in more relative terms that I can understand because I don't understand. Use funny words that I can't figure out. But yeah, so that's it. That's it. There is no court tomorrow. Now, what are we going to do over the weekend, over this long weekend that we have been granted by the gods? What are we going to do on this long weekend? Well, um, we're going to do USA True Crime. That's what we're going to do. I am working on some Harry. God, Ping, you are tired. I am working on some Honey and Barry episode. I don't know if we'll do it yet. I'm waiting on some, and I do this confirmation, but I hope we get it because you all will be very excited. Now, it's in very infant stages right now, so everyone do this. Keep your fingers crossed. If I get what I'm hoping might come through, it'll be a hell of an episode on Barry and Honey. So I don't know yet. It's sort of like this. You can see Ping, it's sort of like, it's a little 50-50. We'll see. Okay. But I don't think that'll be this weekend unless we get some sort of miracle, but that is coming up potentially in the future. So keep an eye out for that. I hope that works out because that'll be absolutely insane. Betty C says, I'd be resting a bit. Never. I never rest. We have more true crime to cover. Never. I never miss a day. I very rarely missed a day on this channel. And I think we stream 7 days a week. 7 days a week. I rarely take a day off. The only time I took a day off was with Mrs. Ping had surgery the first time. No, I did a live stream that night. The second time I did take a day off because it was really stressful. Yeah, but I very rarely take a day off. We normally stream 7 days a week, one show a day. And so far we've done about 700, just shy of 700 episodes on this channel. 700. Could you ever believe when we started this channel 2 years ago that we'd be up to about 700 episodes? I don't think I would have believed it, to be honest. We're not going in tomorrow. We're not due back in court until Monday. So Monday we should be back in. I don't think we're going tomorrow. I think tomorrow we've got a long weekend. I know, right? What will we do? I don't know. More true crime. I want to do some true crime where I'm not restricted in what I can say. That'd be nice. Betty C said I'd be resting. Well, how's the wife? Hope she's recovering well. Like I said before, I think she's very sick of being in a hospital. I think she's also sick of being sick. I think I spoke to her for about an hour on the phone before I got on here. And I think she's just tired of being in a hospital where, when you're not very well, nurses have to do a lot of things for you. And she's like, I hate it. I want to go home. And I'm like, well, I think it's safer if you're at the hospital, girl. I don't think it's a good idea to go home when you're in this type of condition. I don't live in Turak, but I live close enough to Turak that if I zoomed out one or two more times, it would have a bunch of places probably on that Google Maps where I go frequently. Like food and shopping and stuff like that. Because that's what it does. It puts it on the map. But yeah, I don't live in Turak and I don't live in Armadale, South Yarra. I'm not that close, but takes me about 45 minutes to get into the city. Sean says not worth a 4-hour drive, of course. Not for doing nothing tomorrow. No, I'm not going to drive out there when we don't have anything to do. I'll have nothing to report. Clayton? No, I don't live in Clayton. But I like Clayton. I was actually out in Oakley today. I was in Oakley this afternoon. So I passed through that area on the way back and I was dropping in to see a friend. And so I was in Oakley very late in the day today. But yeah, so somewhere in the vicinity of the southeast, somewhere around that area. Yeah, no, I don't live. We've had 3 cars stolen from my car park in like the last month and a motorbike. And then someone broke all the locks on all of our security doors. So I don't live in an upper class suburb. I live in places where people steal your car. No, not anywhere close to there. When are closing arguments? I don't know. They haven't given us any direction on that. All I'll say is that the natural the natural progression of one of these trials is that when the defense and the prosecution are finished in their evidence, which has now happened, um, the next part of it would be closing statements. So if we're back in court on Monday, maybe we'll get our first glimpse of what the closing statements might be. Maybe Monday. No guarantee. I don't can't give you any guarantee on that. But all I can tell you is that it's like that's just the natural progression of it. Mike Bell says nice cafes in Oakley. Yeah, they got some nice cafes. Let's see, somewhere cold. It is pretty cold here, where I live. I think last night it got down to like 2 degrees, 2 degrees overnight. It was almost almost freezing here last night. So yeah. All right. Let's see. Hey, Upside Down. How are you? It means Ripper Digs Ping. I've never heard that word before. I can't say I've ever heard it. Yeah, so you got that last statement. All right. Let me see. Yeah, I could use a day off or two, I promise, but I'll miss you all and I won't do any live streaming. So I hate that. I don't like not doing that. Who's emailing me? Okay. I want to thank my friend Carla. Carla, thank you very much. This entire trial and going to it has been supported by the people of the channel, very generous people who were able to use those links wherever they are, up here or somewhere this way or maybe that way. They're very kind, and it has helped out a lot because I can tell you when I was doing my planning for this, I was like, maybe 4 weeks, maybe two extra if we get to week 6, but it is going to go into week 8 next week, so we're way over schedule of what I originally thought. So we are. I must have thought the minimum, and then you know, thought it was the wrong. Thought we were going to maybe get done a bit earlier or something. You designed Latrobe Gallery. Oh, I can't say I've ever been there. The new designers had a much bigger budget than you did. You'll have to show us some photos sometime. I've never seen it. What else can I tell you before we go? Watch the Peacock documentary. So there's a new Peacock documentary out if you haven't seen it. It's called, where is it? It's called The Gilgo Beach Killer: House of Secrets. It's pretty good. It has Asa Ellerup in it, and there are some very candid conversations with Asa Ellerup and Kerry Rawson. I don't know what happened to Kerry's Twitter. Me and Kerry used to follow each other, and I was gonna send her a message and say well done with the documentary, and congratulations for being in the Peacock documentary. But I went to look her up, and I was like, Kerry, Kerry, Kerry. I was like, what the hell's going on? Found her Twitter, and it says we follow each other, and I was like, okay, I'll try to reach out to her, and it just said this profile is like gone, and I was like, wait, what's going on? So she may have turned it off during the Peacock thing. Maybe she just doesn't want the bombardment of people annoying her or something. I don't know. But Kerry, if you're out there, well done on the documentary. I enjoyed it. I don't know if you changed my opinion on Asarella up, but you gave me a lot of things to think about, especially in the whole domestic Stockholm syndrome type of thing. And it makes a lot of sense when you see Asa Ellerup in this documentary. Um, I get a different view of who I thought she was. And I always like to look at that, especially when you're dealing with people who have been so close to someone who's accused of being a serial killer. You know, you hear all these questions in the documentary, like, how did she not know? Is she in denial? All those type of things, and it seems like she might be. It really does. Like, they're like, how can you you know how can you look at the evidence and then come away with like, oh, it's circumstantial. They found like DNA in each of those burlap sacks, and you know how is that circumstantial when they were found several years apart? Like, what kind of circumstantial evidence is that? Was someone stealing burlap from your house once every 3 years to kill women? Like, I mean, maybe, but it's a very big leap to take. What? You're gay. Someone's calling me gay. That's all right. I'll be gay if you want me to. That's all right. I can do that. I can do that. I'm a method actor. I could make that happen. Potter says, I can see some of the rear facing from my era is still intact. Okay. All right. Let's get out of here. Used to specialize in art galleries. Interesting. Yeah, maybe. Hey, Woman of Steel. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, I can be method with it. I, you know, it's like where those the actors who are like having like a part as like a convenience clerk, and they actually go and work as as a convenience clerk. Yeah, I could do it. I could do it. I could be a gay man. I mean, I think that might be insulting to gay people, but I could do it. Like, you just have to you just have to believe. We all have to believe. Um No, I like our gay friends. They're fine. Anyone's welcome here. I don't care who you are, what race you are. I don't care. Don't care if you're an octopus. You could be an octopus. I'd be fascinated if an octopus could type in our chat and watch the channel. I'd be very, very fascinated. Potter says Stockholm syndrome isn't real. It was invented. Yeah, I think maybe the word Stockholm syndrome, but I think there must be some psychological. Um, you'd have to ask Stacy. Stacy would know what it is 'cause she reads all those psychological manuals and all that. You'd have to ask her what it actually is, but there would be some sort of like uh, over empathetic view of your, like, say it's your husband, like in Asarella Up. There's some sort of like attachment there where you're blinded by that version of who you see rather than this other reality that they're trying to show you, and they're like, hey, look at all these dead women, look at all the DNA, we matched it to his pizza, like, and she's all like, oh, it's all circumstantial, I want to see it for myself in court. They've already given out so much evidence, and then you have all this uh search term data that they found on the computers that relate to things like CSAM material. And then you have things that are described very similar to his daughter, which that always disturbed me, that some of his search terms, they're eerily similar to his own daughter. Now, his daughter says in the documentary she doesn't have any negative experiences with her father, anything like that. That's fine. I believe her. Um, I'll just say that they are very eerie, and they're very similar to what she looked like at 10. And I'll say, I feel very sorry for Veronica. I don't know what that life would be like to have a father who apparently goes around when I'm on holidays and kills sex workers. So she must be having a very hard life. It must be difficult. In Sovereign Hill, I could do that. As a method actor, as a gay man, I don't know if they'd accept me, Mike Bell. I don't think they would accept me at Sovereign Hill. It's true. I mean, Yeah, I just think that it's very sad. She did that in the did you not did you just not hear me mention Kerry? Kerry Rawson is BTK's daughter. Her name is Kerry. Um, she is in the documentary. That is BTK's daughter, and she actually talks to Veronica in the documentary. So what you're asking about is in the documentary. So there you go. Wishes granted by Ping. There you go. Look at that. Poof. Wishes granted. So yeah, she's actually in the doc. Actually, hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can go to. I've got it playing in the background here. They're in episode three, two, three. Hold on. Let me see if I can get a picture of Carrie and Veronica. I think they're in episode three. Here you go. All right. Let me upload this. Da 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 da. There you go. There's Veronica and there's Kerry Rawson. That's BTK's daughter right there. So there you go. Wishes granted. I'm like Hamish and Andy. I grant wishes to people. There you go. So it is in the documentary. You can see Kerry talking to Veronica about their experiences being daughters of possible. Well, in Veronica's case, her father's never been proven in a court of law, but we've all seen the evidence. I'll just say they speak about possibly they speak about being daughters of people who kill people. So there you go. Where's my magic wand? I think that's for the OnlyFans channel. I don't think that's for here. Initial concept Stockholm syndrome. I mean, I wouldn't. I reckon there's probably another. I mean, that might be what people say it is, but I reckon if you ask Stacy, she may have a different explanation of what psychological diagnosis or whatever it is. She's very good with that type of thing. She knows all that stupid DSM, whatever it's called, DSM 101 or whatever it is. She's read that book about 50 times over. So ask Stacy about it. She'll know. Julie Miller says, I think they'll end up friends for life. I mean, Kerry would know better than anyone what it's like to grow up in the way that Veronica did. I mean, she had to come to terms with that. Her own father was a mass murderer, a serial killer. And this may be the reality that Veronica's going to have to come to terms with as she becomes an adult. So she's still a very young female. She's still quite young. But as she matures and becomes an older adult, she's if her father is convicted of all of these murders, she is eventually going to have to come to terms with what her father has done. So I agree with you. I think Kerry would be a good person for her to keep in touch with because Kerry would know how to navigate that type of thing. Yeah, interesting. I don't know what the psychological profile of what actually is going on with Acerella, but I would just say that she seems like she's in denial. Like they show her evidence in this documentary, and she's just like, no, no, no. Like, no, no, my husband wouldn't do that. And she's even like in the documentary, you get a phone call from her to Rex Human. And she's like, oh, how's prison? What'd you eat tonight? Oh, am I still seeing you on Friday? Like, so she's still visiting him. We all thought with the divorce and all that, that, they had severed ties. Nah, nah. They are still seeing each other in the prison, and they still have phone calls all the time. I don't know if that's just for the Peacock thing, but that's what they demonstrated in the documentary. So I'm going to take their lead on that and say that they are still in quite close contact. So there you go. PTSD. It could be. All right. We can talk more Rex Human tomorrow night. So your homework is go watch that documentary on Peacock. Go watch it. Be all familiarized with it, and then tomorrow night we'll go through it, and I'll try and break some of it down, because I've been following the Long Island serial killer case for about a decade. I've been following it since I was 30, 29, something like that. I'm 41 this year. I've been following it for 10, 15 years, something like that. I can't remember how long. 14 years, 13 years, a long time. And it's a case I have just been it's one of those cases where when I get off this channel and I turn everything off, I will just spend hours trawling through data, looking at like microscopic details of it. It's one of those cases that makes my brain, especially when we didn't know it was Rex Human and we are sort of trying to all figure it out. You could spend hours going down rabbit holes on that particular case, but it was the guy where the evidence was there all along, and it was inept is the word I'm going to use, policing that unfortunately allowed it to go on for this long. I mean, that's the only way you can look at it. And it's not the cops that are doing it now. They're good people. They're the ones who made it happen. The cops before were good people too. It's a guy in the middle. It's the guy who got thrown in jail and is now no longer a cop. It's that guy. That guy. We all know who that is. I'm not going to say his name, but it was him. He's the one who shut down the FBI involvement. He's the one who stopped the cell phone analysis. He's the one who basically put the case on ice for about 5 years and just didn't even do anything with it. So, Potter, just email me. Zen said, sad to hear. I've been on Sure. I can understand too. I don't know what that means, but I can understand. Upside Down said the Long Island serial killer is horrific. The things that, when you read that document from his computer, I think that gives you the biggest insight into his offending. So that old document they were able to get out a forensic examination of a hard drive they found. He thought about this stuff. Dump sites, CCTV, fingerprints, noise levels, all different things so he could play longer with his victims. And he even talks about next time. So he's already done it before. And when he wrote this document, he had already killed women before. So, yeah. So we can talk about more about that tomorrow night. By the way, thank you to my friend Carla. I appreciate the donation. It's very kind of you. I'll be back tomorrow night. What time? I'll try to be on it. Okay, I can't promise that because I'm actually going to the hospital, but I'll be on at some point tomorrow, okay? And we will do true crime. I love you all. Have a great weekend. If you're a trial watcher, I'll see you on Monday, okay? Yeah, I will see you on Monday. If you're here only for the Erin Patterson trial, I will see you on Monday for the continuation. Like they say in the media, the trial continues. We're supposed to say that legally to tell you that the trial has not finished, that it is ongoing. So there you go. The trial continues. I love you all. Have a great night out there. I'm going to try to get some rest and eat something. That'd be nice. And maybe tomorrow I can sleep in past 5 a.m. That'd be great. Haven't done that in about 2 months. So, love you all. I'm going to enjoy my long weekend. And there'll be true crime. We'll do true crime tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for Americans. And there'll be a lot of true crime for everyone. I promise. Good night, everyone. Bye.